everyone. The topic of my presentation is the intuition problem in epistemology. Epistemology is the study of knowledge, and knowledge is the highest good in this field. The question, what is knowledge, also has a profound impact on various other disciplines, such as artificial intelligence, law, and social justice issues. Since the days of Plato, people have been considering knowledge as justified true beliefs, or the JTB criteria. However, in the 1960s, Edmund Gettier raised a series of counterexamples where justified true beliefs are not knowledge. He laid out two premises for his argument. One, a person can be justified in believing something that's false. For example, if you look at the weather forecast and it says tomorrow is going to be sunny, and you form the justified belief because it's scientifically proven, not proven, derived, but it rains tomorrow, then that's a justified false belief. That's my interpretation. And secondly, if an agent is justified in believing a proposition P, and P entails Q, and that they deductively yielded Q from P, then the agent is justified in believing in Q. A simpler example is I have an apple and an orange. I form the justified true belief that I have an apple and an orange. Therefore, I can deduce I have an apple or an orange. So, entailment, since A and B implies A or B. Now let's get on to the case. An example of Gettier case involves Smith and John, who are good friends. Smith is justified in believing that John owns a Ford. Brown is a stranger that Smith just encountered. So Smith deduced that John owns a Ford, or that Brown lives in Boston, for no reason at all. Brown lives in Boston. It's purely logical deduction. You can do this. In fact, Smith can justifiably deduce that John owns a Ford, or that Brown lives in almost anywhere. Lo and behold, John does not in fact own the Ford. John probably lied to Brown, to Smith all the time. However, due to sheer coincidence, Brown lives in Boston. Notice that Smith now has a justified true belief in this statement. But Gettier does not think Smith knows that, because the whole statement, the truth of the whole statement lies in this part of the proposition, which he had no idea. There are strangers, how did they know where Brown lived? Therefore, justified true belief is not knowledge. Counterexample, voila. But should we let justified true belief account die this easily? There are some serious objections to Gettier's objection to the justified true belief account. First, not everyone shares Gettier's epistemic intuitions. This is a work done by empirical philosophers who actually do experiments. They tested among different cultural and socioeconomic groups and found out that they form very different epistemic intuitions or knowledge attributions to the participants. And most notably, in one of the Gettier cases they used as an intuition prompt, the majority of East Asian participants actually believed that the agent knew the proposition, a similar proposition to the one that we looked at. And this is a serious problem to Gettier's case, because why should we trust your epistemic intuition other than over the East Asian participants? And the second problem is, are dissenting intuitions sufficient to disprove a theory? And it is well known in the field of probabilities that people's probabilistic intuitions matter little to the actual theorems of probability. Well, this is because we suck at doing probabilities. If you all remember the Monty Hall problem, I still have trouble believing in her thing. But so Weinberg argues that even if Gettier intuitions are universally shared, the justified true belief criteria may be so plausible that we should abandon those intuitions. Although he made no such argument, he just says it's not automatically disproven by Gettier cases. And now I will introduce Williamson's arguments. Williamson attempts to show that the justified true belief account of knowledge is fundamentally misguided. In his 2002 book, he argued that knowledge is conceptually prior to justification, truth, or belief. So this diagram should look like this. In fact, those three concepts can be defined in terms of knowledge. Now, justification can be seen as the process of yielding knowledge. Truth can be seen as a property of knowledge, and belief can be seen as the mental state as if an agent had the knowledge. This is called the knowledge first account. According to this view, although we cannot define knowledge, we can try to model it. And this is the main the most interesting point that Williamson contributes to the field of epistemology, I believe, like surrounding the Gettier discussion. Using epistemic model, Williamson aims to reaffirm Gettier's objection to the justified true belief account. Modal logic is a logical system that deals with possibility and necessity. For this presentation, worlds are represented as dots, and accessibility relations are arrows between worlds. An agent knows a proposition if and only if, for all the world that they are accessible to, the proposition is true in those worlds. And every world can be identified with a real value, with an apparent value, and the real value of a parameter. The parameter can be temperature, weight, or even the likelihood of a proposition. And by instating some constraints on the epistemic model, Williamson's model guarantees counterexamples to the justified true belief criteria. Williamson considers his constraints to be harmless and reasonable, but due to time limitation, I cannot go through the derivation process with you in its full glory. But the main thrust of his argument is that we do not have perfect perceptions of the world. So we cannot rule out a possible world where the reality slightly differs from our perception. And the counterexample arises in the world B, where the actual temperature in the room is 19 degrees, whereas we perceive it as 20 degrees. Even though we form a true belief that the world is in fact 19 degrees, we cannot rule out the possibility of another world in which it's actually 18 degrees, but we still feel it's 20 degrees. Okay, this is highly simplified, but we are running out of time, so. In my analysis, I agree with Williamson's conclusion that justified true belief is not strictly knowledge. An axiomatic model of knowledge can help resolve the divergence in epistemic intuitions as raised by Weinberg et al. This is analogous to how formal mathematics can help resolve people's divergence in probabilistic intuition. As long as you accept Bayes' theorem and the principles of probability, you will agree that the Monty Hall problem's solution is actually valid. And the second thing to note is that Williamson's models contained a vast number of idealizations, which are simplifications to knowledge. And they are harmless because Williamson aims to show, not to show that his model is a better theory of knowledge. He only used those models to suggest that it's possible that, well, we have justified true belief without knowledge. And nevertheless, there is a caveat if we truly want to model knowledge using epistemic logic. There's often a trade-off between simplicity and accuracy. I would like to draw an analogy in physics. So Newton proposed that gravity is this force that's interacting between objects in space. However, Einstein discovered that gravity is actually the curvature of space, and they can be described using his field equations. But we still use Newton's gravity formula because it's simple and it's useful and it's accurate enough. And I believe that the justified true belief definition of knowledge is just like Newtonian physics in epistemology. It may fail at edge cases, but its simplicity makes it useful in many other contexts. Our intuitions can help us judge Gettier cases every day, but if we want to discuss it in academic context, we need axiomatic systems so that we can converge our intuitions and figure out the premises. Thank you very much. I made it.